All right, and we are live. We're good to go. Osama, are you ready?
Hell yeah.
Are you locked and loaded?
Locked and loaded.
I got the ethic that works. No one can get it like me.
Let's go, brother.
Awesome to be on this podcast. Thanks for the opportunity.
You're welcome, man. Thanks for accepting my invite. I reached out to you initially because, well, first of all, because I was really inspired by what you were able to do at such a young age. And obviously all of the work that you had been doing with, on the nutrition side of things, with healthy meal plan, and really just your ability to fine tune your fitness and nutrition at such a young age. I know you're 23, and I know that at 23, I thought I knew a little bit about nutrition and fitness, but clearly, you know, today's 23-year-olds have it locked down at a whole different level.
Yeah.
So just for some of the listeners and some of our fitness enthusiasts and some of your followers, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us your origin story?
Sure. Sounds good to me. So actually how I started, I was raised in Qatar in the Middle East up until grade 5 or so. And, you know, growing up in a culture that's, you know, in a religion and a culture that's a little strict and very conservative, right? I grew up with a conservative family. Mm-hmm. You kind of don't know how to express yourself fully. You have confidence issues, self-esteem issues. You don't know how to talk to girls. I just had a lot of anxiety, social anxiety, had tons of mental health issues. A lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, lots of just, you know, bullying, all that stuff. Wow. So I played soccer growing up, right? And I played for a team up until, you know, from 15 to 17. I played soccer on a professional level, but then I got injured and I had to stop. So I needed something to you know, keep me going, something that I can accomplish. And I always looked up to the fitness models, right? I always looked up to the physiques. I wanted a nice physique because I thought that's going to solve my issues. That's going to, you know, solve my confidence issues, my self-esteem issues. And so that's when I started doing bodyweight exercises at home. And before you know it, I started, you know, putting on some muscle, triceps started getting bigger, chest started getting bigger. And then I was like, damn, I'm like feeling amazing now. I'm feeling much, much better. Moved on to the gym, started lifting weights, compound exercises, trial and error, you know, injured myself plenty of times. And before you know it, I decided to compete. And I did my first competition in 2015. It was the Ottawa Open, and I placed 5th in an open show. So for me, that was an accomplishment because I was going up against guys that were using drug enhancements. So I decided to take the natural route and do natural competitions. The first natural competition didn't go so well. I guess I just didn't, I was still experimenting. I was still new to this game. And then the third competition was the Ottawa Classic. I placed 2nd there, came back next year and took the overalls and won the Mr. Ottawa Physique Championship. So it's been a long run, in terms of, you know, getting the proper physique and whatnot. But obviously there's a lot more than the physique, right? There's the, you know, how do you feel underneath your skin without that physique? Yeah. So how would you feel about yourself if you didn't have that physique, right? So that's when I also started my spiritual path and started my, you know, just going to the roots of the problems rather than tackling the outside.
Wow. So you were able to understand the game so quickly at such a young age. I mean, 23, so you would have been 21 years old in your first competition, and you went natural and you were still able to place 5th. And then you kind of rebuilt yourself over and over again to finally win the Mr. Ottawa title. Your full name is Osama Mobayed. Yes. And you have a little bit of a following here in Ottawa. And I always appreciate the consistency and the attention to detail that somebody demonstrates while prepping for a competition. And you make such a good point about the mental aspect of it all. It's grueling. Like, I know for a fact, like even for me, if I'm trying to get on a regimen, and I know 2018 New Year's, like a lot of people are starting to jump on these regimens and they're trying to better themselves. But this is very much self-motivated. Like you need to draw the fire within, and really like it's a conversation with yourself that you're always having. And you don't always, like, I'm an extrovert, so I always need to draw in energy from outside sources. Introverts draw energy from the inside. But, I really respect the fact that you were able to put your head down and just grind and just work to get your goals. But as you said, you were kind of fine tuning. And by the way, you have an amazing kind of physique, a great body for 23. Like, man, like I'm just thinking another 10 years of this type of training, you're going to be an absolute monster. But talk to me a little bit about the mental aspect of it, because you mentioned your upbringing a little bit, and it's really hard in a conservative context to say, I'd like to follow this dream, or I'd like to break away from the status quo a little bit. How were you able to have those tough conversations with the people in your life? Or did you have them at all? Like, how did that go down? Because as an Arab myself, I know that there's really high expectations put on us at a very young age. And, we're a reflection of our parents, right? And so they treat us as such. So tell me a little bit how you kind of went through those struggles.
So I think for me, because I was an introvert, because I hid all the problems from everyone else around me, never talked about my problems, bottled things up, ended up just relying on myself. And so when you get to a point where you rely on yourself, you really go deeper, right? You go into this introspection, this spiral of introspection that you start realizing a lot of things about you. You start being objective. Obviously, there's a negative side where you keep putting yourself down because you keep seeing the things that are wrong with you, right?
Yes.
The things that are wrong about you.
Yes. And I think right now you're actually describing, for me, is what anxiety sounds like.
Yes, and this is something I've struggled with my entire life, up until I started doing meditation and doing yoga soft practices.
Okay.
And started to really just observe my thoughts rather than thinking that my thoughts are me, right? Because the second you think your thoughts are you, then you're in for a treat, right? Because they're going to take you to a lot of places. So you're going to get stupid thoughts, you're going to get awesome thoughts, positive, negative, but don't take them too seriously, right?
So what you mean is don't let yourself be defined by your thoughts?
Absolutely. Because where do your thoughts come from? They come from your old patterns. They come from your childhood, right? Your conditioning, plays a huge role in how you behave, how you go on about your day. So you really have to think about, what I like to say is, when you grow up, when you become older, you're trying to unfuck yourself from all the conditioning that you've had when you were a little kid.
Yeah.
And so to be able to, the first step is to recognize that, okay, I need to rethink all the things that I've learned, because let me tell you something, and this is going to sound disappointing, but your mom lied to you a bunch of times, and so did your dad, right? Yeah. They tried to enforce these things upon you because they want you to be like them, right? It comes from a selfish place, but this is parents, right? They want their kids to be like them because they think that the path they took is the right path. And so when you really have this, when you realize this, then you come to say, okay, I need to start working on myself. What are the areas that I don't like about myself? And what are the areas that I like about myself? The good things that you're at, this is where you want to focus on, right? And the things that you're bad at, you want to focus on, but you also don't want to focus on it too much, because then that causes anxiety, causes low self-esteem, all that stuff. But always just look within and see what you need to work on, and take the good things that you're good at and keep doing them.
Yeah, and the notion of parents, just parenting is a phenomenon in its own. Like, we often think that they have it figured out, right? Like, we expect them to just know. And like, for me, I'm going to hopefully one day be a parent as well. And it's like, I don't fucking know exactly what to do right from the get. And yeah, there's going to be some times where there's tension, and I may subconsciously download my own ambitions and my own ideas onto this new hard drive. And that may not always be a good thing. And it's interesting what you say about parents wanting you to be like them. And I feel like that's where like the safety and security aspect of it comes. Like I think that their main objective is to keep you safe, and they'll only do it in the best way they know how. Mm-hmm. And the best way they know how happens to be sometimes not what's best for you. In my dad's case, or my parents' case, my mom and my dad, not only did they want us to be safe and secure, but they came to Canada for something better. Right? And they looked to us, to me, my sisters and I, to not only live by their standard, but to also upgrade it and to be all the things that maybe they didn't have the opportunity of being. And I think maybe like most parents have that good intention, but it doesn't always translate in that way. And I feel like maybe in your case, you took all of that energy and you blasted it out into like this amazing physique that you have right now, and you being able to crush those goals at such a young age. And I feel like maybe you did that because you were just trying to seek not only the approval from others, but maybe for yourself. Mm-hmm. Am I close?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. You're 100%. You're right on the prize.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. For me, yeah. So whenever I was pissed, whenever I was upset, the gym was there,
lift,
right? Yeah. Lift, exactly. Release all that energy into lifting, right? So I was stuck in this yang for several years, which is good because it grounds you, it's healthy, but also it's going to cause an obsession that can also add more problems to you, right? So for me, I got too obsessed with the looks, and I saw that I was going into this superficial, materialistic place in my life, and I realized it was causing me so much anxiety, right? I was constantly thinking about the future, the money, the physique, the competitions, how shredded am I, all that stuff, and it was causing me more problems. And this is why I tell people, look, getting a nice physique, you think if you have a physique of a fitness model, you're going to get all the girls, your problems are going to be solved,
right.
Which girls are going to dig you more. That's for sure. You're going to have better confidence. You're going to be healthier. You're going to feel better about yourself. However, it's not going to fix all your problems. If you want to fix your problems, you got to face your demons. You got to stare at them red in the eyes and face them. That's the only thing. So it's good to have these external things, tools, lifting weights, meditation. But at the end of the day, you really got to go deeper within you.
I want to go deep. So tell me, what were some of the demons that you talk about? So
the demons that I'm talking about is looking for approval from others.
Yeah.
That has been, my whole life, because, my dad, I wasn't very close to my dad. He was always working. Mm-hmm. My mom had several different kids, right? We come from a big family. Mm-hmm. So I was a middle child. Oh, okay. And so, my mom did her best, but it's not like I was getting much attention or love. And so what does a kid want? It's just attention and love, right? And so when you don't get that, you have all these problems. Mm-hmm. And so you start to seek it out from external, the outside. Yeah. And you will only get love when you start realizing that it's really self-love. It's love you don't get from others. Love is something that you connect with. It's within you. Once you connected to that source of love, which people call the divine, the universe, infinite, God, yep. Many different names, right? Yep. This is when you're able to send love and receive love. Yep. Until you connect to that source, and it starts with personal development. That's the only way. It starts with acceptance. Accepting who you are, accepting your behaviors, your patterns, your paradigms. Before you're able to change those things, you must accept them. Without acceptance, you will never be able to reach that sense or that state of gratitude or love. And so this was a big demon for me, is to, the external. I need to reach this many subscribers. I need to get this many likes on my Instagram picture. I need to get this specific car. I need to get this job, this specific degree. And at the end of the day, those things are going to get, short-term happiness. And you're going to realize you're back to square one. You have all these things and you still don't feel good about yourself.
But I also, I want you to also realize that, don't be too hard on yourself in the sense that you've entered this world that's insanely calculated and quantifiable. Okay? You chose that route. So yeah, you're shredded. You look great. I've seen you on IG. I've seen you on YouTube. You've clearly met that goal, but the progression, and you have competition experience, right? You got to measure your body fat. You got to measure your intake, all your macros. You got to measure your weight. You got to, even when you're lifting, you got to make sure you're hitting the right numbers. So you quantify the entire experience so that finally when you make it, you're going to start quantifying your success indicators. So I hear what you're saying, but you also have to realize that you've entered that zone because you've seen success doing it. But you hit a good point where it's where do you stop counting and then just start accepting the situation for what it is? And, fuck the car and the subscribers and all of that stuff, and just focus on what's important to you.
Yes.
That transition is hard.
It is. It's one of the hardest phases of my life, actually. The thing is, competing, counting calories, all these things you mentioned, they became second nature to me. So people see it as extreme, but for me, it's normal. It's the norm.
Right.
It's so, so second nature.
Right.
But of course, at the beginning, very taxing. You're not thinking about, what are the quality foods that I'm going to eat, or you're thinking about numbers, right? Like you said, very quantifiable, very strict numbers. Man, I used to take almonds. I used to take one almond and scale that.
Wow.
And put it down on MyFitnessPal. It was that extreme. And you could see where it causes anxiety. However, stepping on stage, I would definitely say it was all worth it, man. It was all worth it. I mean, those experiences were necessary in order for me to get into this phase, right? How else am I going to learn that it's not about the external until I get those things that are, the superficial materialistic things, and be able to transition into this new reality, if you want to call it, right? So not to say that those things, I don't view them as good things. If anything, they were a must. If they didn't happen, I wouldn't be who I am right now.
Right.
All I'm trying to preach is don't focus too much on the external, because if that's your everything, then you're going to end up with nothing, right? So if you have, if you want a nice physique, you want to feel good about yourself, get aesthetic, get the abs, get the arms, get the chest. No problem. There's nothing wrong with it. It's going to make you feel a lot better. You're going to be more confident. You're going to be able to, take off your shirt with pride, with because there's a lot of discipline that comes with having a physique like that. It's a discipline to go to the gym day in, day out, and have this mindset that today I'm not lifting the 55s. I'm lifting the 60s.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care, what my muscles are trying to tell me or what my mind's trying to tell me. I'm lifting the 60s. And this is not just one day. This is, every time you come in, you're in that mindset, right? That's only lifting weights. What about your diet? What about your food? I think that's the hardest thing. And I think this is why a lot of people fail at reaching their goals, is the diet. It's the food. They don't know what to eat. And when they do know what to eat, is they have all this strict bodybuilding diet.
Yeah.
That's for a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
But you're not a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So why are you following the bodybuilding
It's because they found
diet?
it on Google.
Exactly.
Yeah, they found it wherever, and then they saw maybe a couple of pictures, the super misleading picture before and afters, and then they went ahead and jumped on it. And that's where consistency is a huge factor in it all. I feel like for me, if and when I jump on different diets or I want to try out new things and new programs in the gym, like I do it in a way where I know, okay, how can I apply this at 70%, but for the entire year or forever maybe? Like I reduce the intensity down and I know what my maximum willpower is, because I think that willpower is a finite resource. All of these programs are designed to make us feel like you always have the same willpower all the time at 100%. And it's like, you have to do this and that all the time. And it's like, I can't do that. So I know for a fact. So for me, I know I won't train more than 4 times a week. Fact. That's just who I am. I know that I would rather fast all day knowing that I have an event at night, so that I can properly just indulge in, the Arab culture. You have to eat, you socialize, you get involved. Fact. Like, those are just things that I come to terms with, and it took time for that to happen. So, you're an amazing resource in the fitness industry, and particularly in competitions. What would you advise somebody that's thinking about or currently prepping or in that competition zone? What are some of the top 3 or 5 tips that you would give them just based on everything you've been through so far?
Okay, so I've done maybe, I think, 6 competitions up until now. And I would say that my most successful competition was the one that I did a few months ago, the APQ Quebec Classic. I think that's what it was called. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. Even though I didn't get first, I got second. It was the easiest prep I've ever done in my whole life. And the reason why I prepped for the show, and it was funny, it was 6 weeks before the show, and I'm like, you know what? I want to compete. Let me test out my new philosophy, my new approach to life. Without counting every little thing and doing all these OCD, having these OCD patterns. Let me just eat quality foods, start doing a little bit of cardio, hit the weights a little more often, and have a plan, right? Every week, I'm going to lose 2 to 2.5 pounds. Now, if I don't lose that, then I know, then the following week, I need to up the intensity, or I need to add more cardio. So it's almost like landing a plane, right? If you want to compete for a show, make sure that you're decently lean. You look good. You're fit. You're not...
Beforehand.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Because you don't want to go from being overweight to shredded all of a sudden.
Okay.
Because you're going to lose all that. Once the competition is done, you're going to do binging. You're going to put on all the weight that you lost. So, exactly.
Yeah.
The yo-yo. So, you got to slow it down, right? As long as it takes you, right? Mm-hmm. For me, I only needed 6 weeks because I only needed to lose 10 pounds. Wow. 10 pounds is nothing for me.
Yeah.
Right? In the past, I would lose 30 pounds. Right? So, for me, if I were to give you tips, if let's say you want to compete for a show, make sure that you're fairly lean, right? And you don't want to go the counting calories approach, in my opinion.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because counting calories will create a bad relationship with foods, and it's going to cause you to just focus on the numbers. And the second the show is done, you're no longer doing the numbers. Because why would you do the numbers, right? You're not prepping anymore. You don't have a reason to do the whole thing. And in the back of your head, like no, I'm going to stay lean after the show. But we all know, once you step off that stage, you're back to square one.
I knew, I heard a story once, I think it was on Instagram. This guy relapsed so bad with his food intake after a show that his ankles were swollen. He couldn't even fit in his shoes anymore. And he was just completely lethargic. And do you think that there's a risk of creating resentment between you and food, between you and nutrition?
Absolutely. It's funny because you're actually describing a situation that I've had.
You've been through that?
Oh, 100%. So I lost 32 pounds and I gained 28 pounds within a week after the competition. So
oh my God.
you can see how screwed up that is,
That's
right?
insane.
And then I had binging disorder for several months afterwards. So you really need to take this more of a long-term approach. So yes, I want to get on stage and look amazing, but also remember that you're not just doing it for the stage, right? You're doing it so that after you're done the show, to still look good, right? I mean, it's obviously you're gonna put on a few pounds after the show, that's fine, but you don't want to put on like 10, 20 pounds after the competition,
Right.
It's gonna cause a lot of mental issues here. Your body's not gonna be in a healthy state, and so competitions, just realize that they can be hard, but they don't have to be too hard, right? If it's a lifestyle, competitions are not gonna be hard. For me, it's only the last week where I'm kind of suffering. In the past, I would suffer 8 weeks, 10 weeks, right? I'm hating my life. There's no energy. I'm depressed. I can't get my dick up, right? All these things. You have to come from a long term. You have to really realize that this is a long term thing that you're doing.
Right.
And
interesting. Okay. Yeah, because I think that like one of the biggest misconceptions is a lot of people get into it to reach a fitness goal. And then that goal quickly goes away because they realize that the competition standards are not real life standards. And that's where the bounce back, the yo-yo effect comes in.
Yes.
And then there's a whole onslaught of mental issues that follow. Because man, if I were to, I've never competed before, but I would grow, and you take pictures and you look in the mirror and you self-love so much. And then when that goes away, I can only imagine, but I mean, in your case, you were 10 pounds away from competition ready, but that's a minority, right? Like that's not the norm. So your main tip is what would your main piece of advice be? Would it just be to understand that, don't quantify the whole process and understand that the results go away? Or is there something a bit more specific?
Now, you could quantify the approach. You could count calories. But I think the main takeaway here is don't let that be your 100%. Because if your competition is your 100%, and meaning, I'm not saying don't push it 100%. No, go ahead. Push it 110%. But push it for the after the competition. Looking how you're going to look after the competition, right? Push it for the process, the discipline you're going to get.
Okay.
The hard work, the state of mind you're in competing. Like, dude, when I have my game on, when I'm like, I'm going to compete, nothing stops me. And it's so addicting. It's like a drug because you can say no to anything, right?
Yeah.
And you see your body changing every few days.
Yeah.
Right? 2 days pass by, you're like, damn, I'm looking better. 2 days go by, I'm like, damn. I'm like, so you see your body changing.
Yeah.
Right? You see your energy go up.
Yeah.
Right? Again, it's like a drug. So you can't get too attached to it. Right? Because like you said, the competition standard is not healthy. You don't want to look stage ready.
365.
You can't.
Yeah.
It's not ideal. Your testosterone's low, right? You can't get your dick up. You're jeopardizing your whole health.
Yeah.
Right? There's no energy. But if you're feeling good, that's what matters. All I'm saying is you want to focus on after the competition rather the competition.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you think that would allow somebody to get into the best place possible for the competition? You think that mindset would help them?
Yes, because the thing with physique, it's not just about displaying your body.
Okay.
It's not just about displaying your physique. It's about the confidence. Are you grounded on stage? And judges can see. I mean, you don't need to be a judge to tell if someone's nervous or not on that stage. Your stage presence is a huge factor in physique. When you get on stage, that smile can't go away. If you're nervous, your smile's gonna look awkward.
And you can only fake it for so long. So if the smile is honest, it'll stay throughout your entire performance.
Exactly. And imagine you're doing the poses too, the quarter turns, right? If you're nervous, you're not gonna do so good, right? So my last competition, I was the most grounded I've ever been for a show. I wasn't even nervous get on stage. I was just like, this is just like a breeze to me. I was laughing right before getting on stage. I was like laughing my ass off, right? So even though I didn't get first, but I brought the best package I've ever brought in my whole life following this approach. Now, I'm not saying this approach is gonna get you first place, but at least it's healthier.
I like that. Yeah. Because I mean, I was expecting more of a technical advice where it's like, make sure you do this or make sure you do that. But you're looking at it from a holistic view, from a macro, and you're like, that's like sort of the overall, like you said, at the end of the day, that's the key takeaway for a lot of people. But it's so hard to leave that mental zone. Like, and I think intention is important too, right? Like, why are you doing this? In your case, you had this drive, you had this hunger, this energy inside of you. And I think that that's probably why you saw so much success at a young age. But if your intentions aren't as, how can I put it, connected to who you are, like if they're purely aesthetic, purely materialistic, you just want to look good, show off, take pictures for IG, you may see some success, but how sustainable is that?
Not very sustainable.
No. So that fascinates me. It's the mental game over everything.
Yes, and you'd be surprised when you take this hippie approach,
quote unquote.
Yeah,
you're doing air quotes for those listening,
without even realizing.
Yeah.
You somehow you feel better, and when you feel better, dude, you're disciplined. Mm-hmm. You can't train discipline. It's a state of mind. Right? If you feel good, you're going to be disciplined. The reason why you have trouble or people have trouble losing weight is because they crave all these foods because they're not in a good state of mind. Their emotions get the best of them, right? And so if you're stable, if you're healthy in here, your body's going to follow, right? If you're focused on looking really good here, your body's going to follow. Right? So this is what I learned. It's not about, I did the whole bodybuilding chicken and broccoli, counting calories, doing cardio for, an hour every single day, just going all out to the point where one time I used to work for Good Life, and I was in a shift. I had my working shift, and I told my manager, I'm like, look, dude, I feel like dying. I really need to go home. Like, I'm having a heart attack, right? I was having a panic attack. Because I was so deprived, malnourished, I felt like absolute shit. Mm-hmm. Did the competition go well? I got first place. But that doesn't really matter. The first place is not going to matter much, right? It's about what you learned. Mm. And so for me, it was a huge learning opportunity to put myself under this, to this place that you would never think you'd be able to put yourself in, right? You don't know how you're gonna do until you do. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you could take that approach, but is it healthy long term? I can't say that it is. But if you really want that first place, you're gonna have to make it an obsession. Okay. You're gonna have to make it an obsession at some level, right? It's gonna have to be your everything at some level. Mm-hmm. But why not take that obsession and just follow this hippie approach, right? It's like, yes, I want that first place. I'm going for the first place. But you know what? I'm doing it my way. I'm not doing it this bodybuilder's way or my coach's way. No, this is why I don't believe in coaches. You're your own coach, right? You know your body more than anyone on earth. Right? If you're a beginner, it's good to follow a workout program. It's good to follow a prep, right? A prep regime done by someone else. But at some point, you're gonna have to go on your own. You're gonna have to do what's good for your body. How do you feel? There's different personalities, right? You might be the type of person that likes to count calories, right? Not to say that it's healthy, but it doesn't matter. If you want that first place, you might be the person that wants to count calories. You might be the person that, no, I don't want to count calories. I want to do portions because I just feel better, right? So do something that's for you. For me, it's the hippie approach. Right. It's to eat the quality foods. It's to land a plane, take things slow, no rush, no stress. I'm going for the first place, but if I don't get it, it doesn't matter because I'm actually focusing on the learning. opportunity on what I'm gonna learn after the competition or throughout the process of competing, right? So, in a sense, I'm not so result oriented, but I am. That's what's paradoxical.
Yeah, it is.
You know, that's what's paradoxical.
Yeah.
Right. So it's only when you let go where you can control yourself.
It's only when you let go that you can control yourself. Interesting. You're pulling from both ends. Like it's that macro versus micro strategy. And as you were speaking, one of the quotes that I have up on my wall at home is from Conor McGregor. And they always talk about his talent. And I remember him saying, obviously the UFC fighter, I'm not talented, I'm obsessed. And that obsession to not just win the fight, like he has a legacy in mind. He has the big picture in mind. He's not doing it those are just means to an end, right?
Yep.
And when you take what you're good at, like you mentioned, doubling down on your strengths, fuck your weaknesses, to be honest. Like I don't know if we would disagree on that, but for me, it's a waste of time. And I think that we're being inundated with too much in the mainstream about trying to be good at shit we really suck at. And we're forgetting the stuff that we were maybe born to do or our passions. And that's tragic to me. So he's not talented. He's obsessed. That talent is a product of his obsession. His legacy is, his belts and his championships, his wins are a product of his legacy. And I mean, you know, for you at the age of 23 to be in that zone is incredibly advanced, and you're definitely ahead of the game for sure.
We'll see. And if you said about Conor McGregor's, he's focusing on his legacy. So he's focusing on something that's long term. He's not focusing on one fight. He's focusing on his picture. Yeah. He's building his picture. You know, he's doing all these visualization. He applies the law of attraction like I've never seen anyone apply it like him, right?
It's true.
So an obsession isn't necessarily hardcore or extreme, right? Just because you're obsessed about getting your goal doesn't mean it's gonna be all you're thinking about. No. An obsession is something that you really want to achieve, and you're going to do whatever it takes to achieve it, right?
Yeah.
However, you're going to keep in mind that things go wrong, right? You might hurt yourself. You know, you might get an injury. You might one day your emotions get the best of you and you cheat, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you're not obsessed, right? But if something goes wrong, what I'm trying to say, if something goes wrong, don't be too hard on yourself, right? Just the next day, wake up, all right, time to go again, right? When I say don't be too obsessed, I mean don't let it be your whole life, right? Don't let it be your whole life. If you're always thinking about it, constantly, you know, not even taking a break to look at the relationships, the people around you, your family. If you're studying, you know, if you have a degree to pursue, right? All these things. You have to do them. If you don't, then you lose everything.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's only when I realize that in my own fitness journey or nutrition journey, like it's only when I turn that into a lifestyle, right? Like it's something that I'm doing for life. We're too focused on 90-day programs, 30-day blitzes, 60 days, whatever. Like there's always this weird expiry date to a lot of programs and a lot of thinking that it's like I said, I came to terms with certain things. Like I only want to lift. My lifestyle permits me to lift 4 days a week without sacrificing the other things that are important to me. And as soon as I noticed that I'm starting to sacrifice that, then I needed to fine tune that because I'm in it for the long game. Like for me, this is, I want to look relatively good for the rest of my life rather than these peaks and valleys and staying unfit, unhealthy, unhappy because you set the bar way too high and you don't have maybe that willpower to get there. Whereas if you were to just drop it down a bit, like you said, reset, understand the day ahead, focus on your goals one day at a time, brick by brick, you build the wall.
Step by step. Yeah. See, one of my best friends, he does jiu-jitsu and he once told me that he doesn't set the bar too high, because if he does, he's gonna go in and he's gonna get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And it's gonna put him down big time, and he's gonna be demotivated. He won't wanna go for the next step.
Yeah.
And so he sets a bar too low. So he goes in 1 minute, the guy beats him. Okay. Second time he comes in, it takes him a minute and a half to beat him. Right. So he's like, I lasted longer, and so on and so forth. So like he said, brick by brick, step by step. Don't be too hard on yourself. An obsession, in my opinion, I don't like the word obsession, because there is, I think I view obsession differently than the majority of people.
Yeah.
Just because I went through the mainstream obsession where make it your life, like you gotta put in the hours, you gotta put in the work, blah, 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 all that stuff. And that's great and all, but not good up here, right?
At what cost?
At what cost? Because you're always thinking about the future. You're not enjoying the moment. You're not enjoying the accomplishment, the progress that you're making now, right? That you don't just take a minute and be like, okay, where was I 5 months ago? You don't do that, because you're so focused on the future. You're so focused on your obsession, quote unquote, right? So I like to view this as a lifestyle. So take something that you're good at and you really want to do and make it your lifestyle. So for you, it's a 70%, 4 times a week. You don't have to go 6 times a week. You don't have to go 7 times a week.
Yeah.
That's what the bodybuilders are doing. You're not trying to be a bodybuilder.
No.
A bodybuilder is 300 pounds. A bodybuilder needs 8 pillows to be comfortable, sleeping in his bed.
Yeah,
right?
it's
so
true.
You're trying to do something that's for you.
Yes.
Not for your brother, not for your friend, not for your girlfriend. No, it's something for you. What do you want, right? The average person doesn't even want to look like a fitness model.
No.
They just want to look toned,
Yeah.
some muscle, look strong. And that's not hard to get, right? It really isn't. You're not putting yourself, under what competitors do. You're trying to take this hippie approach because you're thinking long term. You want to look like this for a long time. And there's no shortcuts. Right? So if you really wanna, look like a fitness model or have a certain look and you want to achieve, it's not gonna come by quick, right? So take it one step at a time. Focus on now. Focus on where you were before and where you are now, and that's gonna keep motivating you. And this is honestly the secret of being consistent. It's not to focus on where you want to go. It's to focus on where I am now, where I was in the past. And then having an idea, this is what I'm going to be in the future, so I'm going to keep taking it step by step. So you don't go from 20 to 55 all of a sudden, right?
No.
I did 20 now. I did 15 last time. That's fucking great.
Yeah.
I'm improving. Next time I come in the gym, I'm going to try to do 25s. Done 25s. Damn, I was at 50s. Now I'm at 25s. That's 10 pounds. That's, if you're focused on that, if you're focused on the good, the progress that you're making, then when you do have a goal in the future, you're coming from a much better place.
Yeah. I can relate to that definitely, because I feel like it all comes down to people's relationship with struggling and how we often avoid it. We don't want to be uncomfortable. We don't want, because we live in a world now of instant gratification. We live in a world where you can just pay to get whatever you want. Even if you don't have the money, you can put it down on credit. There's no problem. So we kind of approach our fitness and our physical and our mental well-being in the same way, where it's like, I'd rather just have a great filter on Snapchat that thins my face and makes me look like a cat, and just use that all the time. And it's just, you're filling these little insecurities, these little voids, rather than actually admitting to yourself, okay, I need to make some serious changes. And how I'm going to do it is just one brick at a time and not forgetting where you came from. So in your case, in your analogy, it was the 20-pound dumbbell, right? So never forget, when you're lifting 60s, never forget the 20-pound dumbbell and where you started. And that's where gratitude comes in. And I'm forever grateful. Like, people ask me all the time, like, and I'm going to be honest straight up. Like, I invited somebody to be on my podcast, and they immediately asked me what my listener count was, or how many followers do I have or whatnot. And to me, granted, I mean, that question came from a place of probably just business or time. Like they wanted to know whether it was worth it for them. But to me, I kind of snickered. I'm like, well, what's that worth, to you, in the sense that the value that I'm offering you a place where you can add value to yourself and the people that are following. Even if it's just 5 people, you should be grateful for that. And I'm forever grateful. And so every time I'm able to get a session in, or I eat a healthy meal or whatever, like I understand that gratitude and consistency are the 2 main things that drive me all the time and allow me to just keep going for the long term.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Because if it doesn't come from that place, then you're stuck with, you're stuck in this matrix.
Exactly.
In the system that feeds off of people being insecure and feeling like they need this product that's coming out this year. Yeah. And it's like, you have the product that's from last year, so why the fuck do you need the new one? Mm-hmm. Right? It feeds off of this, right? And this is why I tell people, don't get too caught up in this whole body, in this whole car, because no matter where you get, and if you're looking for that source to make you happy, you're not going to find happiness. You're not going to find contentment, right? If you don't focus on where you were and where you are now, then you will never be satisfied, right? So my approach was, I wanted the hot girlfriend. I wanted the fitness model physique. I wanted the 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I achieved all that, and I felt like shitter than I did when I started my journey, right? So
why?
It's because I was looking for those things to make me happy, to make me love myself, right? To find that love through other things, external things, and only to find out that was bullshit, fed by...
You didn't feel completed once you hit 10,000 on YouTube?
It was an accomplishment.
Yeah.
But only temporarily.
That's why I don't believe in benchmarks, because you build up this expectation. And it's like this anti-climax, where it's like you finally make it there and your brain immediately looks, what else? Your brain immediately switches to, okay, now it's time for, now it's time for the next one. And you never make it to a place where you're happy. You see a lot of people going through that have a lot of money, or that make it to a very specific place. And it's interesting. I thought to myself, why 10,000 is such an arbitrary number. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny how we put these weird, we associate these weird goals and these weird numbers to ourselves that we think are going to make us feel better. Same thing on the scale. Like, why is 190, for me, for my build and my height, why is that such an arbitrary number where it's like, I've been 190 before, right? And, I looked like shit. But that's because of my body composition, and I was doing Muay Thai at the time. I didn't look like shit, but I didn't have sort of the build that I wanted to. You can have 2 guys that both weigh 170 pounds and have them each look completely different, right? But the number, we're fixated on that weird arbitrary number that we set for ourselves.
Which is why I don't tell people to count calories.
That's why you don't tell people to count calories.
Yes,
I agree.
A big part of it is stop focusing on the numbers, man. Stop focusing on these regimen, these routines that must be. We're designed to be slaves, to be soldiers, to make this whole consumer, to expand this consumerism, to make rich people rich. And so we're designed, as we get into school, to follow certain routines, follow certain patterns. This is the right way. Don't be creative, because they don't want you to get creative. Because if you're creative and thinking outside the box, you're no longer in the box, right? You're no longer in the box where they can hold you and tell you what to do, to tell you, Bob, this is your project. I want you to do it, this way, right? So when you're stuck your entire life in a very, very weird school system that, in my opinion, doesn't teach you shit. It only teaches you to be a worker. You you lose your self-expression.
Yeah.
You every time you want to set a goal, I want to get this physique. Okay, what's the workout plan that I got to follow? What's the diet plan that I got to follow? It's like, why don't you start off from the basics and be like, let me focus on the health and focus on the quality foods and see how I feel, and then make adjustments as I go. But you got to trust yourself, right? You got to believe in yourself. Don't follow people. Don't be a follower. Be a leader, right? Take charge. Take responsibility. Be your own man. Like, make your own decision. Be your own woman. Make your own decision, right? This is what I want to do. Okay, I'm gonna make my own plan, right? And I'm gonna try it out for a week. And I'm always going from plan to plan because I'm so in tune with my body and how I feel that I don't have a strict program, right? I really don't have a strict program that I follow because my body's changing, my mind is changing, my hormones are changing, just the way I view. Tomorrow I might be completely different than the person that I am today, and I'm not scared of that, right? This is evolution. This is why generations are always different. You have to. This is the law of the universe, how nature works. The generation is going to be different from the past generations. But people tend to focus on the negatives of these generations and they're doing this and this. It's like, no, respect.
It's different.
Yeah. Respect evolution. This is evolution. Mm-hmm. So, you don't need anything that's, this is the way it is and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm going to do legs and it's going to be 3 sets of squats, 3 sets of this. It's like, no, you can't do that for such a long time because let's face it, you're going to fall off track, right? So,
but some people need that structure though.
At the very beginning.
At the very beginning. But then as you become sort of a master of the trade, then you have that wiggle room, that flexibility.
Yes. So okay. I'm into software engineering, about to graduate, and I had this 4th year course, and so there's this hippie software developer that created this. I forgot the name of this framework that they use to develop programs and softwares. And he basically says, forget about all these frameworks. Don't follow this framework. Don't follow this structure. Take the basics, start off with the basics, right? And then break those rules. Right. Break those basics. Yeah. And then make your own rules.
Which is essentially the definition of hacking.
Basically. Right? That's exactly what it is. That's what hacking is. Yeah.
And you can hack culture, you can hack fitness, you can hack nutrition.
100%. And this is why I say take the good things of culture, take things that are in tune with you, that you agree with, that resonate with you, and make your own shit. Right? Make your shit up. This is your life, right? You don't gotta follow a certain, just because my culture tells me this doesn't mean that this is the way to go. Right? It's such a closed-minded approach, right? It really suppresses your self-expression, suppresses you start not believing in yourself. It's like, no, science says this, or my culture says this, so I'm gonna follow this, right? Or this bodybuilder is 400 pounds, right? And look at how big he is and how shredded he is, so I'm gonna follow his way, right? It's like, no, it's good, like you said, it's good to start off with something at the beginning, some sort of structure, but then break the structure, because if you're stuck in that structure, you're not going to go anywhere.
Let's stick on structure for a minute, okay? Because you're clearly at a more advanced level, and you're kind of in that zone where you feel like you have a deeper understanding in your body, and you're a bit more flexible. But for the people that aren't, and from a nutrition standpoint, what are some of the tips that you would give? Because I know you're involved with an amazing Ottawa-based company here called Healthy Meal Plan. And they have done such a great job at showing people what a healthy lifestyle looks like and what the nutrition factors what are the nutrition factors they should have in their life. And I feel like they have done a great job at showing how exciting food can be, right? Like, it doesn't have to be sort of that turkey and broccoli or that grilled chicken and broccoli Tupperware life where it's like you can design a plan, you can meet your goals, and have fun through nutrition at the same time. So what are some of the things for maybe somebody thinking in the beginning phases, or some of the foods that you would like somebody to focus on in their fitness journey?
Okay, so I don't believe in diets, right? I believe in just eating quality foods. And so if a beginner would come and ask me, hey, I want to lose a few pounds, what do you got to say? I would say, okay, so you're going to stay away from anything that's processed, anything that's packaged, anything that takes 2 minutes to cook, because there's a lot of shit in there. There's a lot of chemicals, preservative, a lot of things that cause inflammation. And with inflammation, you can't lose weight. Your liver is trying to fucking get rid of the toxins, the chemicals. So it doesn't want to lose weight. You're not going to lose weight by eating the crap food. And so what is crap food? Again, anything I said, anything that can be ready in 2 minutes, processed junk. So what you really want to focus on is clean, lean meat. Right, if you're a meat eater, lots of vegetables, right? Because you can have.
What are the top meats if you were to rank them?
I would say fish, salmon, in my opinion.
First,
yes, and then chicken,
okay,
and then the last thing is red meat.
Last thing is red meat
Because red meat causes a lot of inflammation, actually.
Really?
And the meat that you get nowadays, is horrific here in the West.
Yeah.
Lots of hormones, lots of just the way they kill animals, and then the way things are prepared. So I try to stay away from red meat.
So
as much as possible.
And on the flip side, you would primarily consume fish if you had the choice.
Salmon, yes.
Salmon, it's fatty.
Yes. So salmon has the healthy fats, omega-3s, and it's also high in potassium. It's fairly low in calories, and it fills you up a lot because of the fats, right? It's good protein. There's no carbs in salmon, right?
Yeah.
Chicken. I like chicken. I love chicken.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking of going vegetarian.
Oh, really?
In the next year or so.
Okay.
And I think the hardest thing will be giving up chicken.
Interesting.
That'll be the hardest.
Can you still eat fish as a vegetarian?
I think they call them pescatarians, right?
I don't know.
When you eat fish and dairy and just not eat chicken and red meat.
There's so many Aryans out there now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the exact.
Yeah, let's not label, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say, if I were to go vegetarian, I'd probably still have fish.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then turkey and red meat under that.
Yeah. The last thing is red meat. Okay. For carbs, complex carbohydrates. So complex carbohydrates are carbohydrates that are digested slower in your.
Okay. What are those?
So like sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
Oatmeal, anything that has fiber. If a carb has fiber, chances are it's a complex carbohydrate.
Okay.
Broccoli. Brown rice, broccoli. Yes, it has a little bit of. It's a vegetable.
Oh, it's a vegetable.
I don't even count like my carbs. I don't count if I'm eating vegetables. I don't even focus on the carbs because they have such low carbs and low calories.
Right.
That it doesn't really matter. You can have so much vegetables, you'll never gain weight.
But carbs is a big deal. Like in our culture, we love bread, and we love dough, and not so much pasta. But I mean, it's there. That's in the Arabic culture, but even outside, everywhere you go eat, like it's so hard to get away from carbs and actually feeling full afterwards. If I eat a chicken salad, I feel good about myself, but I'm ready to smash another meal right after that. So what are some of the carbs that we would so you mentioned sweet potatoes,
sweet potato, oatmeal, brown rice, a little bit of fruits. Fruits have a lot of sugar, so you have to be careful not to be having a big quantity. Obviously you still want to get your vitamin C and whatnot, so you can get you can eat bananas are great, pineapples, apples, oranges, whatever, but just not too much. I like to I just stick with clean foods.
Okay.
So healthy foods that nature provides, right?
What about bread? Do you eat bread?
I don't eat bread. But if I would eat brown bread.
Okay.
So whole wheat bread.
But you don't eat it though.
No.
Why?
If I'm home and my mom makes some Arabic food, for sure I'll have some bread.
Yeah.
But I don't go out of my way to buy bread.
Okay.
I just choose not to because it's a lot of carbs, and it just makes you bloated. It doesn't sit right.
What are some non-meat proteins?
Non-meat proteins. That's a good one. So if you're a vegetarian.
Yeah, or if I feel like I've had enough protein for that, enough meat for that day, what are some of the things? So one thing that comes to mind is eggs or egg whites, more particularly. Is there protein in anything else?
Yeah, so there's good protein in nuts.
Okay.
So almonds, peanuts. There's good protein in some vegetables. So broccoli has decent amount of protein.
Okay.
Right. There's protein in tofu.
Tofu?
Yeah.
Doesn't tofu have estrogen?
Yes. So too much of it is not good.
Okay.
Too much of anything is not good. Right.
Right.
Too much of chicken is not good. Too much of meat, is not good. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wouldn't eat tofu more than once or twice a week.
Okay. Once or twice a week. Okay. Good.
Yeah. There's beans.
Beans. Yeah.
Legumes. Right.
Yeah.
Chickpeas. Kidney beans.
Yep.
Just the whole bean family. There's a lot of protein there, a lot of fiber. I don't eat them much just because my digestion doesn't take them very well.
Okay.
Right. So, and I think it's very important to focus on your digestion. Is that if something's bothering your digestion, then don't eat it, because then you have inflammation in your gut. And there's a lot of shit that's going on.
Yeah.
It's disturbed, and it's gonna slow down your weight loss progress.
Speaking of shit, how many is it actually healthy to go every day, or?
Yeah, so you want to go every day, and not to get very graphic on you, but your shit needs to look like a big piece of shit, right? It needs to be brown, right?
Okay.
If that's not happening, then there's something that you gotta work on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. It's gotta be. Okay, one piece.
One piece.
Nice.
If you're shitting water, you need to cut out some foods in your diet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or if you're constipated at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe there's too much. I know, like for me personally, rice, backs me up a little bit, and
white rice or brown rice?
White.
Okay.
And maybe some bread as well. Sometimes I'll feel it, but sometimes I'll go like every second day. Not to get too graphic and talk about my routines, but sometimes it won't be every day, and I'll skip a day. But I always heard that it's good to stay regular, like every day if you can.
Yes. Dailies. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you're supposed to. Water helps with that. Lots of water.
Lots of water. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 to 4 liters of water. A veggie supplement.
Yep.
So any sort of organic, clean veggie supplements that doesn't have other stuff. That's because it's very hard to eat a lot of vegetables nowadays. So a veggie supplement will take care of everything that your body needs.
Interesting.
And the second you take a few sips, right away you want to go to the washroom.
Yeah. Right? I used to take veggie greens.
Oh yeah.
A few years ago. Those are really good. They have like a blueberry flavor. And
I think I've had the blueberry one.
Yeah, it's like a green mix, and there's phyto berries as well, which had like all the antioxidants and stuff. It's a great company from I think they're from Sweden or something. But like you said, like it packs in all those nutrients and just puts it in a drink for you, just to make sure that you're hitting your all your marks. Well, speaking of supplements, and I know that you're more of a free spirit, you're more of a hippie. I'm doing the air quotes, but what are some of the supplements that kind of help you in your journey, and for what reason, for what purpose?
See, well, what's very funny is that I'm always contradicting myself, right? I'm always saying something and saying something else, right? And I like that. It's fucking
yeah. Keeps it interesting.
So I don't believe in supplements, but I do at the same time. So if a beginner would come and ask me what kind of supplements should I take, I tell them nothing, just multivitamins.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. If you're gonna get a little more advanced and you want a little bit push, I guess I would suggest creatine.
Yep.
Creatine monohydrate. So creatine is what it does is it increases your water weight in the muscle, right?
Okay.
And so when there's muscle is made up of 70% water, right?
Really?
7% water, something like that.
Okay.
If you have more water in your muscle, then you have more strength. So with
Interesting.
explosives, let's say you're doing like really heavy weight and you're going for 5 reps. With creatine, you'll go for a 6th rep.
But won't creatine blow you up and make you look fatter?
If you're eating a lot of carbs and a lot of sodium. If
Okay.
you're eating healthy and you're not on, you're not having a lot of food and whatnot, your muscles are just gonna get swollen.
Okay.
That's all. You're not gonna have that. I used to compete with creatine.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like I'd get down to 5% body fat and I'd look
5%
shredded as
body
hell.
fat.
Yeah, I'd
Holy
look
shit.
shredded as hell with creatine. Now,
Okay.
a lot of competitors will never even think of this idea. They'll think it's bizarre. It's stupid to be on creatine because apparently it puffs you up.
Right.
But again, you got to try your own stuff, right?
And you won with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. Proof is in the pudding.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else? Protein?
I would stay away from it just because it's highly processed and has a lot of shit and you don't know what they're putting in there half the time. But I would say if you're having trouble hitting your protein,
Yeah.
not having enough meals, then it doesn't hurt to have like a scoop.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to have a lot of protein in the past. Like that was my thing, 2-3 scoops a day, right? And then I got smarter. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so you don't take supplements.
No, just
Okay.
multivitamin and vitamin D in the winter because
You're
you
deficient.
need that shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The sun goes away here in Canada for 6 months.
Yeah. And
we're
even if
very
it's
far
there,
from the
it's like
sun.
you're all covered up. You're not even going to get the vitamin D.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So vitamin D is crucial in countries like these because, you have the depression is actually, they did a lot of research and they found that depression, anxiety is highly linked to lack of exposure from the sun,
Oh, really?
the vitamin D. So it's very high. It's important to supplement with vitamin D. So like 2 weeks ago, I was like really tired and really just like not feeling myself. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, is it seasonal depression, right? Because I always kind of like get down in the winter.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, 'cause-
Seasonal depression.
Yeah. So I think we're all connected to nature, right? In the winter, you hibernate like a bear, right? So it's normal to kind of be down and not much of an extrovert.
Right.
So vitamin D will help with that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it'll take up your energy a little bit, your focus, your drive.
So that's interesting. You're talking about depression from external sources rather than it coming from internal, which
Oh,
in my experience, I've never been diagnosed with depression, but with chronic anxiety, it very much was generated from the inside. But that's interesting to hear a take about, your environmental factors playing a role.
There's a lot of different factors. This is why I follow the hippie approach.
Right.
It's because you become more in tuned to how you think, to like I might be saying that I'm not counting calories like now and I'm not a fan of it, but next week I might count calories. Right? If I feel like it. So this goes to show that never, like, by getting on a routine, it's gonna cause you more it's gonna cause you to be in an unstable place up here.
Really?
Right? Yeah. So if you're in tune
But we love routines though. Like we do routines all the time.
I don't think we love them. I think we're just conditioned to be on routines.
I find comfort in them. Like,
Do you?
Well, I mean, for me, like, I always go back to the classroom example.
Okay.
So I like to just go and sit on the first day of class in one spot and then always go back to it because it takes away one less thing that I need to think about.
Okay.
And my mental capacity can then be used for other things, kind of like the Steve Jobs effect, where he wore the same thing every day because he just didn't want wardrobe to take up mental real estate, intellectual real estate in his mind. Mm-hmm. So I feel like a part of us falls back on routine because we'd like to just think about things other than, where I'm going to eat or what time I'm going to eat at or what I'm going to wear to go to sleep.
Right.
Or to work.
But you see the paradox of this all, right? Life is full of paradoxes. Is that because you're going in here and you're studying yourself and you're realizing that I go to this specific spot in order for me to have less effort causes you to be on a routine.
Right.
So you're creating a routine based on how you're feeling, based on getting in tuned with why am I going there, right? It's not like, oh, I've heard that you should do this, so I'm going to do it. No, it's like, what is me, right? What is this person? Why am I doing this? You know, like, why do I want to go sit in this spot? It's so I can minimize effort, right? So in a way, it's a routine, but it's not a routine. It's going in and causing you to express yourself, and it's very philosophical.
Yeah, you're blowing my mind right now. You're blowing my mind right now. But I can see where you're going with that. Definitely, we feel like we're in control, but in fact, we actually relinquish a lot of it in a lot of things that we do. And but you know, I always appreciate somebody that if their intention is to better themselves, right? Like that's the goal. Then, you know, who am I to criticize their routine per se and say, although, like you said, like at the beginning stages, it's great to have that structure or to have that cadence and that flow. But as you get better at it, you know, become the master and
exactly.
Stop. Like there's a conversion point where the student suddenly becomes the master.
Yes. Well, that's all I'm saying is that you're not doing a routine because it's a routine.
Yeah.
You know? You're doing a routine for you to learn about yourself, for you to put yourself in a flow state, but you can't stick around under that routine for a long time. You need to, because things will change, right? And now you can create your own stuff or follow a different routine, right? But be open-minded. So be open-minded to different routines, to different ways, to, like I've done so many different ways of competing, of just going on about the fitness. And I'm always changing. I'm always, you know, sometimes I'll be doing bodybuilding. Sometimes I'll be, you know, hopping on one of those balls and trying to do squat on it, right? I'm always experimenting with these things, right? And it's a form of self-expression,
right?
At the end of the day. So if, you know what, if a routine is gonna get you to get up and work,
that's the thing.
Go for it.
Yeah, that's the push.
But trust yourself and trust what you're learning, because what you're learning is it needs to change that routine, because that routine isn't 100% for you.
Right.
The reason why you followed it is because you don't have a routine yet. You're not in tune with yourself yet, right? And that comes with time and practice. So at the beginning, it's good to follow something, but just know that at some point you're going to need to go out on your own.
What motivates you?
To do what?
What motivates you to wake up every day and seek out happiness, your passion? What motivates you to keep going? Not only in fitness. I want to open it up just from a, you know, I like to get philosophical as well, from a macro perspective, big scale in your life. What motivates you in your life?
Believing in something magical that's gonna happen on that day. So knowing that something special can happen on this day and new opportunities will arise. I'm gonna go in a bus that I've never been on. I'm gonna see people that I've never seen in my whole life. I might bump into someone that I haven't seen for years. When you start really just increasing your presence, increasing your awareness of this situation, it makes life a lot better, right? This is why I'm not result oriented anymore. I'm moment oriented. I go moment by moment, because when you're focused on this moment, you're going to realize this moment has just passed and it'll never be back again. So you start appreciating everything, the conversations you're having with people, the tension you have with people, right? Because you're like, I'm experiencing this really this gut feeling. I'm really pissed off, and you just really focus on the feeling, and it's like, wow, it kind of makes you feel alive. Right? It's like that I can experience such thing, right? Or happiness, right? you can literally go from being pissed off and sad as hell to being very, very happy in a matter of like a minute, 30 seconds, right? So just this whole, we're alchemists, right? We're creators. We can literally create anything, right? And this is the power of the mind, right? And this is where I'm so addicted to personal development that keeps me going, is addiction to self-development, is the fact that I'm comfortable being completely different tomorrow than what I am today. I'm comfortable being wrong. I'm comfortable contradicting myself. I'm comfortable, being criticized, right? That shit doesn't affect me anymore, because just the whole, if you think about how life was created, if you think about how TVs were invented, how this mic was invented, or like you said, this universe has been calculated it to the T. Everything is quantifiable, right? It's like we're seeing a dumbbell here, but are we seeing a dumbbell, right? What's inside, right? Like when you look at the matter, like this vibrates. Even though it's still, you're looking at it and it's completely still, but under, if you go in a laboratory, you will see that this is vibrating. This has energy, right? So in our head, in our intellect, this is not alive. But if it has energy and it's vibrating, then could it be alive? Could it listen? Could it talk? Right? So I guess just the whole way of life, how life works. Just knowing that I'm going to have new opportunities, that today I might be feeling a certain emotion that I haven't experienced for a while, or that emotion is going to take me somewhere really deep, right? This is why I really enjoy meditating, because I go really deep and experience those things I've never experienced in my whole life. Memories start popping up that I've forgotten for years, right? So just knowing that this day is different, that's what motivates me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
The question is, what motivates you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. What motivates me? Well, for me, it's pretty much the deep understanding that time is the only resource you don't get back. And when you look at everything, all the things that you long for in your life, whether it's money or fitness or things, material things, all of those things come and go. But the only thing that's constant and the only thing that keeps moving, regardless of how you feel, is time. And so that's what motivates me, is just understanding my relationship with time, knowing that it moves forward indiscriminately, and that I should definitely be making the best of it every single second. And for that reason, I don't take my relationships for granted, my work for granted, and how I live for granted, because I respect time as being the only thing that moves forward.
I love that. Time and change.
Time and change. Yeah.
You can't take things too seriously. You can't take this persona that you put on too seriously. You can't take your beliefs too seriously, your culture too seriously, your religion too seriously, because when you do, you start being miserable.
Yeah, and I think that it's okay to have, your convictions. It's okay to have your passions, but never at the expense of someone else's. I think the ultimate demonstration of security and stability is to be able to exist on your own, as in, I guess to use your reference, as an energy or an atom, without affecting another one in a negative way. And that, to me, I think is the essence of coexistence, and the essence of, I'll never need to bring somebody down to prop myself back up. If you have the tallest building in the city, I'm not going to beat you by bringing yours down. I'm going to beat you by building one that's taller than yours. And so in a sense, you're actually inspiring me in a secondary way.
Evolution.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Which is probably something that the generations can learn from, you know, as the older ones look to us, they may often think of us as, you know, subpar or lacking or whatnot. When in effect, we're being inspired by them, but with the understanding that we may actually surpass the same way they did with the generation before them, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's you know, at the end of the day, that's what really gets me going and keeps me going.
And you don't have to say anything to someone else to, because I think if you're in a good state of mind and you're positive and you're loving and you're compassionate, you don't have to say a thing to change your surroundings, right? Energy travels, right? If you're pissed off, you're in a bad mood, you're going to attract things that are going to make you more pissed off.
Yeah, and it reciprocates.
Exactly.
For sure.
So if you're always judging people, you're being negative, you're sticking to these, you know, to these negative beliefs, you want to call them. That will travel around. That will go around. Your results are from up here. So if your environment is positive, loving, open-minded, that's all you're gonna attract. Right?
I love that, man, and I think I'm really happy that we were able to attract this podcast and get together to chop it up and smash out an epic episode.
Absolutely.
Osama, you have clearly impressed me with your wisdom and with your outtake on life and fitness.
Mind fucked you a little bit. I think I mind fucked myself.
Yeah,
as well.
I think we both had some moments there. I think I went cross-eyed at one point. But you are definitely Lucky Gang certified, and thank you so much for being here. You do have an Instagram account?
Yeah, so it's BeastwithAesthetics.
Yeah.
And my YouTube channel is also BeastwithAesthetics. I do a lot of videos for fitness, you know, physique competitions, spirituality, confidence, just, you know, life, really.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it, my man.
In my eyes, yeah.
Good stuff, man. Well, I'm definitely going to have you back on.
Sweet.
Thank you for being on the Lucky Gang podcast.
Thank you.
And, you know, keep going, and I can't wait to have you back.
Absolutely. Can't
Thank
wait
you,
to
my
be
man.
back. No problem.
Thank you, bro.
I put the team on my back. I do it all for the family. Never be turning around. Never be turning around. Ayy. Never be slowing it down. Never be slowing it down. Ayy.